Okay, as I was cutting this off, I noticed there's Bondo in here. So let's hope that this thing isn't a Bondo buggy fender when we get it taken apart. But there it is right there. So that's the bottom that we're going to replace. But what we're going to do, now I kept this hole right here to line everything up, and I'm going to show you that. So what we're going to do, since we have to replace this, I'm going to go ahead and cut the bottom of this off. Now remember, this is an aftermarket part, so you got to be very, very cautious on replacing these and making sure that they line up properly, because down here, that's going to be the kicker on mounting this fender right, where everything fits perfect. So I'm going to stick this right here like this, and it's going to slide up here, and then we're going to line up these holes just like that. And you can already see the holes are not lining up properly, so hang on one second. And we also have the SS that we're going into. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to go up to where the SS is. So I'm actually going to, wow, this is going to be a trip. Because we got to get these holes lined up right here.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
And that's fitting really tight. I like the way it's fitting. And let me go ahead and get some C-clamps and see if we can get this lined up. It looks like it's getting close. So we're going to come right here where that hole is. And then we're going to kind of eyeball it to where we want to cut it off. And this actually feels like a very well-made fender bottom. It's made by a company called Tri Plus. I've never heard of them, but they might be made in America. I don't know. They actually seem to be very well built. Okay, so we took approximately 2 inches off or so. So let's see how it fits now. And remember, we're lining it up to this hole right here. So we're going to slide it on here very carefully. And we're almost there now. There we go. Going on kind of crooked. Okay, hold on one second. So we're going to take this tool right here and get these holes lined up like they're supposed to be. And this is called a crow's foot for anybody that wants to know. And we're going to keep on pushing that up in there till it lines up. Now I'm going to get it lined up on here. It's still got to go up some. About right there. Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put 2 Tech screws on it. Then we're going to test fit it on the fender and see where it lines up with the rocker panel. Alright, I went ahead and put a couple Tech screws on here. We got our hole lined up pretty close. The way the situation is right now, we can't jam it on there any farther. So there's the hole I was talking about, lining it up. But you can see it fits on there really good and snug. Another thing that I wanted to show you is I wanted to show you how thick this steel is right here versus this real flimsy. Look at this flimsy action on this. This is unbelievable. This is shocking that this fender costs so much money and the metal on this is just junk. Total trash. So we're going to go ahead and fit this fender on here and see if it lines up. We might get lucky and it'll line up right where we want it. And if we don't, we have to reconfigure what we're going to do. So let me get this lined up here. And then the main thing we want to look at is down on the bottom here. Okay, I got the fender bolted on. Now there's only 2 bolts holding it. Let me show you where we're at here. We got it up here on the core support right in the front. And then I put a bolt in the back here. Now this is very important when you are trying to do this type of job and adding on, cutting off and taking this and doing that, is that it's very important that you put the factory shims back in under the fender where they were and make sure that the fender is lined up on the top, because if you don't do that, then you're going to be screwed down there. So remember, we don't have our brace in here, and what we're trying to do is line it up here, and I can already see that it's hanging over considerably. And if you look right here, you can see what I'm talking about. The fender actually goes just like that. Now we still have to put the brace in here, of course, but that's how it's going to go right there. Actually, that looks like it might be pretty good. Let's bring it back up and see what we got. That actually looks pretty good right there, believe it or not. Is it lining up with the holes? There's one, and then the other one is right here. Yes, that does line up. So the fender is going to go in like that, but it's got to come up, and it looks like that's where it's going to go right there. That actually looks pretty good, just like that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take the fender off. We'll get that dismounted, and then we will proceed to get our fender patched up and ready for body work. Alright, so if you look right here, you can see that I basically precisely measured this out to where it should go. Now here's our old piece right here, and I cut it off right at the knuckle of where that would roll over. And then I left about 1/8 of an inch on this one. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move this up just a hair. Not too much, but right there. We want to get as precise as we can with this to put this on. So I'm just going to put a couple spot welds on here. That way what I can do is test fit our outside panel See if it's going to roll up here, it's going to all match, and then we can go ahead and permanently put it all together. So if you look right here, what I did is I sliced these and bent them back. We'll go ahead and just... And another thing, I don't know if you noticed, see the contour on this versus this? Yeah, this is our aftermarket shit, and it's like out, like that, whereas our factory is in. We want to go ahead now and fit that fender skin on there and see what happens. And this is the part that I cut off. So I went ahead and notched these corners out a ½ inch, or maybe even higher than that. So I'm going to bend that up because I want my panel to go inside here, just like this. Okay, and then over here I bent that up. Alright, so because our flange is going to go underneath, we're not going to put it on the top. And then we'll see what's going on here. There it goes. Okay, so that's in there, so let's see if we can get this in here. And we can't get that in there. I'm going to have to cut this edge off right here. And for right now, we're just going to bend this out of the way. We don't even want that there for now. Come on over here. And this is kind of in our way too, but we got a spot weld right here. So we're going to leave that alone, because the spot weld just happens to be right there on the edge. Now, what the plan is this is going to meet up with this, and then this is going to meet up with that. This should line up with this when we fit it in here. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, look at that. Now come on up here, let's look at this. And then I'm going to pull that flange down, and you can see the flange. It's right on that edge right there. So what I want to do, it looks like we measured it pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to take some of this off. Even though it's right here on this edge right here, we still want it to be back just a hair so we can fill that in with weld.
You got to have room for the weld.
Well, and then that way what happens is it'll suck this together and it won't be uneven. And basically what I'm doing, I'm just cleaning up that edge. So far we only got this tack welded. Alright, that's all that's going on. We're going to take this, slide it up in here. And now look at it real good here. Can you see that? It's right on the fucking line. That's where we want it, see? Just like that. We want this lined up with this. Lined up right there where I want it. That's where we want it. Ah, you fucker. And that's going to go right there. Like that. If you look real close, you can see that fits in there perfect. And this has to be bent way back in there. Look at that gap right here. Okay, since we have this lined up really nice like that, I'm not going to spot weld this because I might have to move it. I'm going to go ahead and use sheet metal screws. Now we're going to be removing most of this. I just want to see if that's going to line up with that hole down there. And yes, it does. Okay, so that's good. And then we're going to bring that up there. And now we know where to cut this off because we're going to butt weld this thing in place. So we'll just put that like that for now. Now we already know that that has to be bent over. But we're not going to bend it over yet. I'm just going to get it out of the way and see if it'll... Now I did notice right here Do you see where this line comes down? This one's sticking out farther. So we'll mess with that later. Let's get it on the car and see what happens. Okay, so I got the fender now. The gap is not right. We already know that. There's only 2 bolts holding the fender on. And what we're really concerned about is over here, down in this area, and it looks like it lines up pretty good. Now remember, this here, it's either going to be this we're going to sticking out or that's sticking out. This is aftermarket. So we'll have to hammer and dolly this. That still has to be hammer and dolly back in this way. I think once we do that, that's going to roll all this over and everything should fit in. So the slot over here isn't lining up perfect. We'll have to make a new slot, but that's pretty much common. I'm just going to go ahead and show you. This is an issue that we have, is this lip right here. If you notice, this is all curved in. Do you see that? But when we get to this fender here, look how it's flat. And it doesn't curve at all. But when we look in here, you can see where it would curve to make the contour. Now another thing is this little bastard right here. Do you see that hook right there? That little dip? Well, that has to line up not perfect, but almost. You don't want to push this all the way out. You want to leave a little bit of gap, and I'm going to show you why. So we need to get that. And then another thing is if you look at this piece here, it's not flush with the fender. See that gap there? So even though you buy these aftermarket pieces to put on, it takes a lot of work to make them fit in. So we're going to have to roll this edge, and we're going to have to roll it to where it lines up with this. Because as of right now, this actually sticks out. I'm going to turn the fender over and I'll show you that. Now, another issue that you have is, watch when I move this fender. So if I hold down on the fender over here, look at what goes on. Do you see this right here? Do you see how wobbly that is? And that's not lining up. So we can't just take this and clamp it and say, well, that's where that goes. Because this part of the fender will be sticking out from the car. What we got to do is we got to mount this back on the car, get our lineup holes here where everything bolts together. We got to get that bolted on, and then that will line this section up and roll that fender where we want it, which is going to be about like right there. All right, do you see that? So let me go ahead and turn this fender over, and I want to show you what we're talking about on this lip right here. That it's very crucial to get the lip lined up like it's supposed to be, because right now the problem we have is this is factory and this isn't, and it's sticking away from where the factory line is. And the way that these things line up is actually down here. This is the spot that hits the rocker panel right here, and to get that lined up properly, you got to simulate your way into moving that so it will move the fender in toward the car to get your gap. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'm going to kind of go through it with you. So what we got to do is get this line, and I'm going to get some tape and I'm going to show you what needs to be done. So if we take our tape, what's going to happen here, this is our factory, this is our aftermarket. Now watch this. So our factory line is right here, and we want to follow that all the way down, just like this. And when I put the tape on here, you'll probably see what we're talking about on rolling this lip. I don't know if you're going to be able to catch it really close, but I'm trying to explain it the best I can. So do you see how nice and sharp this lip is right here? Do you see that? Now come over here and look how round this one is. See how it looks round? It doesn't really look sharp and clean like this lip right here. This is like round. And then we come down here, and then it really gets round right here. If you look at it, you can see it. So we got to get this to roll in to that fender just like that. And once we do that, then this body line will be back to factory original. So I'm going to turn the fender back over, and then we're going to roll that edge over there. So what I got here that we're going to use to get this in is I got a couple body hammers, actually 3 of them, and I got a couple dollies here. Now, I got 2 different dollies here because we're going to be in 2 different places. This one right here is going to have this curve right here, if you can see, and it's going to help me fit right here because we don't want to lose this curve inside. This is hard to explain. This is why this is a long, detailed video, because putting these on is very tricky to get them right. So we'll use this dolly inside here, going down this lip, and then we'll take this dolly and get that corner right there to roll back in where it's supposed to go. And we might have to make a little bit of a cut right here with our cutting wheel to pull this in, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. Because like I said, this edge right here is what determines the gap on your fender. So now what we'll do, we'll go ahead and get our cutting torch out so we can heat this metal up right here. We'll get that nice and toasty, and then we'll roll it around to match everything inside here. Okay. Alright, so we're going to heat this up so I can pound it in. Kind of like putting a door skin on, but using heat to apply to it. If that makes any sense. Very important that you got to get this gap right here proper. We're going to try to get it as red as we can without melting it, and then start bending it. We'll go ahead and take our hammer and dolly, and we will start bending it. Getting that thing in there. Like we need it. Go ahead and use this hammer. What I'm trying to do, I'm rolling this edge. Now we'll go ahead and take our flat dolly and we will pinch this over. Go ahead and turn that over. And then of course we got to cut some of this off, so don't forget about that. And we did move this in, just to let you know. So now we'll go ahead and mount it on here. And we should see a bigger difference. You can see how close it gets now versus what it was. Putting the factory shims back in it. And I think it's gonna look good now. Oh yeah, look at that. That looks really nice. All right, before I bolt the top of the fender down, what I want to take a ratchet strap. I'm going to hook it on the core support right here, basically anywhere. Then we're going to take our ratchet strap and let me get this where it's on, okay? Then we're going to bring our ratchet strap up here and we're going to pull that fender to the gap that we want before we tighten our back bolt. And you can see by ratcheting it, it will adjust our fender for us to where we want it. That way we can follow the gap all the way down the fender. So if we look right there, you can see the gap's looking pretty good. The bottom is a little bit out. So what we're going to do now, we're going to get down there and find our bolt holes and bolt this thing on.
Thanks for watching D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.